So hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, fellow author. I'm a author too with only one book, but hopefully I will not end on this one. So I'm really glad that I had a chance to meet you and to talk a little bit about your work and your opinions about kid lit, or let's say it, literature for children. So first of all, what was your, how come that you are here? Tell us a little bit about this event and your...
Why I came here? That's a good question. I think I've met a few people of the publishing house in Bologna, and they asked me to come.
And that's it.
That's it. But I think it's because I was also in Slovenia, in Croatia, and because of the book Red, they wanted to, or they had published here that book. So I think that's the reason why it came together. That's certainly.
I have to say that I presented your book Red on workshops around Belgrade, and I got an impression that your book somehow suck children into the story, and I that's why I wanted to start with that, because you're an author and illustrator, and I want to hear your opinion about that. That role or double role that you have, unique role, and I noticed that your books often mix humor and strong emotions in a special way. How would you describe your style as a writer and illustrator? And tell us about this.
But in fact, first I started as illustrator. So I had a career as an illustrator, and then at a certain moment I had the feeling that I wanted to make some own stories, because they were very close related to me, and in a way that's why I became illustrator, I think. But at a certain moment I wanted to write my own stories, so at a certain moment they came together, and the strange thing for me was that those stories I made myself were more successful and more related to kids than when I draw someone else's tale. Not all of them, but it became closer to me. And what I like to my own style is, for example, my drawings, but it's also with my writing, I think. I want to combine strong emotions with humor, but also, if possible, in not too much lines, because I try to make it not simple, but
as less
as possible. Because I think if you use less, readers can more put their own story in those stories. So I give them like little hints and little things, and when they turn the page, they put something of themselves in that story.
We talked about that before camera, so it was very interesting. I'm sorry that we didn't do that in front of camera, but let's repeat.
For sure.
I noticed that children are, they stop, they are like, what is this, when they are looking your picture book. We talked about this importance of this taking a break, staying still, sensing the text and the illustrations. And what do you think? Why you have this? Why we have this kind of reaction when we are reading your books? I know my answer, but I want to hear from you and your opinion about why kids.
I think first I try to put as much emotion as possible that the story needs in that story. My emotions, which is difficult sometimes because you have to to search for your own emotions when you are making it. To dig it in sometimes not the always funny part of my childhood. But I think people and kids recognize that feeling, and they can see it, I think, in a way.
That you're honest. You're not faking it.
I'm not faking it.
Trying to give us a lecture.
No. It has to be true to myself. And I think, and it's also when I watch to a play or when I watch to a good movie or read a good book, you can feel that in a way that it's honest or that it seems so.
Yes.
And the strange thing is when sometimes I make drawings and I'm a bit scared. Should I draw this? Maybe it's too emotional.
Or too much.
Or too close, too nearby myself. And then if the book is there and you show it to the kids, they all pick that drawing as the one who referenced most to them. So that's something.
That's a good sign of.
Yeah, that's a good sign. And
that
also,
you're doing good things with your books. And how do you pick your themes, your subjects? What are your? It comes up. Something that you have to deal with.
Maybe. I have to deal with, and I want to take time for that because it's something. Some of my stories, at a certain moment as a kid, I struggled with it, but some of those stories also came back when I was an adult, and it's also related to who you are now. The stories that happened in your childhood. So I was bullied, and I wanted to make a story about it.
That's the story about Red.
About Red, yeah. Because, in a way, and as a child, it was something, in my dreams, it was something, when I grew up, I want to tell this story because this happened to me, because I was very lonely at that time. But of course, if you started doing as an adult, it gives bad memories, so you have to deal with it. And for me, it was difficult to write that story because I was the victim. At first, I wanted to write it from the perspective of the victim, which is, and I made the first version, and I showed it to my publisher, and she said, it's interesting, maybe it can be a book, but because you write it from the perspective of the victim, kids who read it, they will say, it's not my problem, I'm not a victim. So, and then at a certain moment, I realized I have to make another perspective. So I put my story in the drawings, and I wrote that story from another perspective. And I think that's the reason why because it's an outsider who sees that happening in her school, in her class, on the playground, and she's, okay, what will happen? What's my role? And so I think it's now. If they use it in a class, every child will find something in that story, and otherwise it was a story just for the victims.
Yes, and this is in many cases you are the witness, and you can decide. Will you react or leave it like that act like nothing is happening?
And also that reaction of the reader, of the child who is reading it. That reaction is so important because the victim is lonely, and if someone stood up and said, "Hey, I've seen it also," then there will be a change in the way bullying goes. So that's.
And you did it so subtle because it's not only about bullying.
No,
it's about friendship.
No, of course.
It's about happy times in school. It's about being read because you are fond of somebody. That's why I think it's so powerful.
Yeah, and also something I didn't put it in, but now as children read it, at the last page, the girl who is telling the story is blushing, and because she's shy of what happened. But a lot of kids say, no, they are in love. So that's great ending also.
Yeah. Can you stress again a few key moments about why is it so approachable? I know it's tough to talk about how children feel, but you saw it, I saw it when I presented it to the kids. So what do you think what are the key stuff that you have to touch in order to have children respond to your story?
I think you have, as a maker, you have to be very, you say that, be true to yourself.
Yes.
And people feel that. Also children feel that. If you fake it, they will feel it also.
Yes.
I think. And what I also try to do with, when kids turn a page, they expect something, and I try to play with those expectations. So, for example, when they think now something sad will going to happen, then for me, I try to surprise them. So they have to work in their brains between every time they turn a page.
And it has to be interesting, God.
It has to.
Sometimes we adults, writers or whoever, we forgot about that part.
Yeah.
It has to be. It has to have an interesting story.
Yeah, and also what's important for me is that you, as a maker, you give little keys to the reader, like little facts, little things, little stories, and the more they read it, they try to make their own story of it. So it becomes universal. So that's why I don't put too much in my drawings, the necessary things, but not too overloaded, because then you can use your imagination and you could put your local thing, your background, you can put it in a story, and maybe it becomes more universal to everyone.
Yes. And you always ask children at the end of the reading to draw.
Not always, but here in this, sometimes I combine it with.
I think it's very, very good idea to give the audience a possibility to draw their own endings, maybe different ending, or their vision of the story and everything. So maybe it would be wise to offer that to adults too. Because we are so much passive, we are reading, we are consuming the content. Maybe we should take part in the process in a way. Yes.
Perfect,
So tell me something about this unique kind of presentation that we saw here.
You mean the Kamishibai?
Yes.
Kamishibai is a form, a Japanese storytelling form. It's like a wooden box where the plates are in, and it's a bit like a television. And as a storyteller, you tell your story, and you set yourself behind the Kamishibai. You can tell the story, so kids or adults they can hear the story, and meanwhile they see the moving of the pictures.
I will show the people how it looks. It's really interesting, and I noticed that kids are like staring at you. What's this now?
What's this?
There are not many strange voices or over loud or anything. You are not overreacting, overacting.
No. I think it's as a storyteller, I try to be close to the story, because if the story is good enough, it doesn't need much
movement.
It's possible, because sometimes I do it also.
Yes. But for this story, for example,
no. When I use other stories for Kamishibai, sometimes I move also, like
And Japanese are like, stop doing this. This is not our tradition.
No,
please.
the tradition of Japanese is to stay as
calm.
you have to be you have to be behind the story, and you're just the one who gives the story to the audience, and your rule is not that big. Try to keep it very simple. And in fact, Kamishibai started. It's very popular in Japan, and they use bikes. And at the back of the bikes, they said Kamishibai, and they went somewhere in a
it's
the countryside.
You can go everywhere.
And you ask people come and sit around, and that's the way they tell stories there.
That's a great possibility that writers and illustrators have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You cannot do that if you are acting in theater or. No. But if you have a book and
it brings you somewhere.
Yes, that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
And this is now typical question, I think, for you. What are the best things about being both the writer and the illustrator of your own books?
Yeah.
Are you sometimes in a clinch, like in conflict?
Yeah, for sure.
With yourself? How do you resolve these situations?
But in fact, as a child, I dreamed about being a writer. But then at a certain moment, I studied graphic design, and that's the reason why I became illustrator. But I think both languages are equal for me. It's all about story. Even if you draw, it's the story is in first place, and emotions, and when I make my stories, sometimes I'm drawing, sometimes I'm writing, and then at a certain moment I have a storyboard. And if that's, and the storyboard is very simple, it just has to work as a little mini book. I show it to my publisher, and if it works for them, it will work in a finished version. So it has to be very simple, very small. Even sometimes I take it to Bologna. There's an international book fair, and I showed it. It's not yet published. I showed the first version. Just very simple.
It's kind of an eye test for.
Yeah, it's an eye test, but also like, for
if you can see it.
Yeah, but if it works that way, and
it will work.
Yeah, and I look to the reaction of the publisher who see that first, and they're used to read that things, and then at a certain moment they start to laugh. Okay, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So, what are the difficult parts? Is it sometimes hard to do both jobs at the same time? Not at the same time you first write. Really? Yes?
No, sometimes I make first two drawings, and sometimes I write. And then at a certain moment I start to finish my drawings, and when they're finished I start to rewrite my story, because of the drawings sometimes you can skip some words because they're already in the drawings. What's the difficulty?
You don't have that.
Yeah, for sure. But sometimes it's difficult to find time to make my stories and to earn money to get time to make them, because it costs a lot of time to make them. So that's something practical. Yeah.
Have you ever wished that someone else is illustrates
maybe once. Yeah, I've never done it, but it could be interesting. Yeah, for sure. And maybe, maybe there will be a time that I try to write stories for others. I hope so. Yeah.
Does there I wanted to say this. Your illustrations feel some spontaneous and full of movement and very alive, as if drawings are happening. You know, they are acting in front of us.
Yeah. That's important.
Does theater and storytelling influence the way you draw and create?
For sure. So I've studied as an adult. When I started to make books, I was shy. I didn't dare to talk for an audience, so I started to follow courses of improvisation theater and clowning. And I'm very fascinated into circus. So I try to put all those backgrounds also in my stories. So my characters, they're always moving, because I think it's interesting when even when a boy is shy in a drawing, it's a certain movement, and you have to feel that is
movement too.
Yeah, that's movement too, and I
getting your shoulders.
Yeah, and even when I'm drawing, I'm putting myself in that position, the way I draw, that I can feel it. And I also use a lot of inspiration of circus movements, also theater movements, and I try to put that, if I see, for example, a nice play and I see a certain movement, I try to put that movement in my own drawings.
Great.
And I have also a little bit background of street performance once with a friend, and also all those influences, I try to put them into my stories.
Both you and I took one famous fairy tale and turned it upside down. Okay. Me in my picture book, and now I see that you did it in Who's Afraid of the Forest.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about your opinion about traditional fairy tales. Do you think the darker and more cruel ones should be avoided, like many think nowadays, or should we still read them to children and talk with them about what have happened?
Yeah, we have to read them for kids, for sure. Yeah, of course, because the world isn't happy always. So, yeah, there's a reason why people still tell those stories. There's something universal, so we have to keep them telling.
So tell me, how did you come up with this story? What's, in short, what's the story
the background
about?
Of the story.
Yes. I will show it to you.
It started with in fact, it started with something I wanted, because I had a street performance with a friend about wolves. And we were, in fact, in our street performance, we were the two brothers of the brother of the famous, how do you call that, story? Of Red...
Yes, it's in English it's Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah. Yes, in Serbian it's Crven kapa.
Okay.
Red cap on.
In Dutch it's rood kapje, it's a bit the same. So that was that story, and then at a certain moment, so I wanted to make something about wolves, and for me the beginning of the story was I was at a circus school, and I saw an adult and his child. He went for the first time to the circus school, and he was scared, and I saw that parent, and he was pushing his son. Oh no, it will be fine. You can go inside, and the boy was crying. And he came back outwards the door, and the father pushed him in. No, it will be fine. It's normal. But as an adult, you do that. And I saw that movement. The child that was pushed by his father and came back. And at a certain moment, I thought, I want to make the story about that. And I was thinking, at a certain moment, it's not the boy who's. The boy, of course, is scared. But the father is also scared about the reactions of all the people who are looking at that situation. Yes. And that's the starting of the story. So I wanted to make... And
that's so true.
That's true, yeah.
About us being afraid of our reactions and...
of course.
Children, we are so embarrassed about a lot of stuff that we don't have a reason to be embarrassed.
And also kids know, in a way, my father is scared too.
Yes.
So I'm going to use that maybe. And the second thing is that as a childhood, and that's the moment I realized that, because I was playing with a child who was scared and goes to his father and asks, I don't dare in the forest, what can I do? And the father was saying, you can kickboxing, or you can be strong, or you have to do this. And the child was every time was going into the dark and then came back. And then at a certain moment I realized, as I said, it's not a child, it's a father who is scared. And the moment I turned that around, my stories started, and then I used the as a
inversion, maybe, in a way.
Yeah. But also what's behind the story is when I was a child, I had a niece, like
relative.
Relative. And we were best friends, and at a certain moment, her parents and my parents, they had a conflict, and we couldn't see each other anymore for a few years. Because it was a tragedy.
It's so common here.
It's so common.
Or you put children together that are not getting along only because of that fact that their parents are.
Yeah, and the moment I realized, it's also a story about my childhood, then all things came together. Mm-hmm. So that's also the way it works. Sometimes I have an idea, but I stop at a certain moment because it's not interesting enough, and then at a certain moment you find the reason why you have to make this story, and sometimes it goes years, but if you find it and you can tell it in one sentence, then your story is ready to be transformed into the hard copy. Yeah.
So who do you admire nowadays
as illustrators and writers? Beatrice Alemania. I don't know if you know her. She's Italian. She lives in France. Beatrice Alemania. Chantal. He's a graphic novelist and makes also children's books. Those two are the most important, I think.
Why do you think? What caught your admiration, or I don't know what to say?
I think it's combination. They're very free in the way they draw, so it's a bit art, but it also they're really making art, but it has enough keys to children. It's not that it's just art; the kids don't see it or something. So it's also
like they are writing and illustrating for adults. Sometimes
they write for children and adults.
Yes.
It's not just for children.
Yes.
That's also my ambition. That I try to make stories not just for kids, but for kids, most important, but also for their parents.
I don't know who said it. Some famous writer. I don't remember who was the one, but he said it like, pick wisely. Books for your children, because you will read it like 300 times and you have to laugh.
No, you have to laugh as a parent, because I did it also with my kids when they grew up and when they were very young. I went to the library and many books, and I tried to see how their reaction was. And my reaction, is it a good story? Do they love it? Do I love it? And if it's fixed together, it's perfect.
Yes,
because you can
perfect
tell it.
Match.
And sometimes I hear it from, for example, The Wolf. Sometimes it's like every evening the kids ask, "Can you tell that story again? Can you tell that story again?" That's the best compliment you can get.
Exactly.
And I did it the same with my kids. Some classics. Sometimes they were not my style, or I would love it, but the stories were so good.
But they are good. Yes.
That you can.
Yes. I understand. And do you sometimes feel that contemporary children's authors censor themselves because, put a censorship on your work?
Okay.
Auto censorship.
Yeah.
Like you are restraining yourself of talking about some topics. Or they are afraid of scaring children or making either children or parents uncomfortable. Do they sometimes avoid difficult emotions or serious stuff?
For sure. Yeah. But I think if you can combine a difficult story with humor and with feelings, I think every story is possible. But you have to find a key that it's not just for a very small group, because that sometimes you see books and it's just made for adults. Children books who are just made for adults. I don't love them because sometimes it's too small.
Yes, and you are faking it because you are writing and illustrating a book for children.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think that's the good way. But it's good that nowadays many people have that opportunity to try, to make something. You once mentioned that drawing became a way for you to find a voice without words.
Yes.
Do you feel that images can sometimes communicate more truthfully than language?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, for sure. You see it in art that some feelings you can't find words for it, but you can put it in drawings. And good art reflects about that, I think. Also in picture books.
And what do you think? What's missing in children's literature today? And what would you like to see less of, and what would you like to see more of?
I think there can't be enough children's books. But sometimes when I see books, in my opinion, sometimes writers and illustrators make it too fast. I think. Sometimes you see a lot of books that are everyone could make them. They're worked like they're a good series, but sometimes it's like okay, I just have 3 months or 3 weeks and I have to finish this book and have it the next. And you can feel it in books. So sometimes books need much more time, I think. They're like good wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
It's
this
a pleasure.
conversation, and we would like to see you again here.
Thank you so much.